What a week in global politics. Just when we thought the theatre of war and the circus of diplomacy had reached the point of peak absurdity, Trump, the current disruptor, the self-declared architect of peace, has openly flirted with the idea of flying to Istanbul on Thursday to bless the possible summit between Zelensky and Putin. If Trump were to be there, it would be almost impossible, unthinkable, of Putin to wriggle out. Trump's surprise endorsement, therefore, of Zelensky's invitation to Putin may sound like Nixon to China. It may sound like one of those moments in its making. But is it serious diplomacy or just another act of the Trumpian pageant of self-aggrandizement? And more importantly, will it help? I think it would help. On May the 15th, the world may witness what until recently seemed diplomatically unthinkable: President Zelensky and President Putin face-to-face in Istanbul, with the Turkish President Erdogan playing host. And Zelensky has stated clearly, there's no point in prolonging the killings. I will wait for Putin in Turkey. The aim, a 30-day ceasefire, the return of abducted children, and perhaps a path towards genuine negotiations. And then, almost like an unexpected commercial break, Donald Trump appears. At a White House press conference barely an hour ago, Trump said, we may see a good result from Thursday's meeting in Turkey, adding, I was thinking of flying over. I've got so many meetings, but there's a possibility. Like a man who might drop by the pub if he finishes work early. He then went further. I insisted the meeting take place. Don't underestimate Thursday. You know, we need to pause here, really. It's a curious intervention, not least because Trump's team had previously done very little to bring about such talks, but the framing, I insisted I may attend, implies that the mere suggestion of his presence is enough to elevate the moment, and maybe it is. Is it credible? Well, yes and no. On the one hand, Trump's endorsement, however erratic, has shifted the diplomatic mood. It's offered Zelensky unexpected political cover, particularly with Republicans in Congress who remain wary of further aid. It's also sent a peculiar kind of signal to Moscow that even Trump, long accused of softness towards Putin, now supports talks premised on a Ukrainian ceasefire proposal. On the other hand, Putin has yet to confirm attendance. But the Kremlin doesn't recognize Zelensky's legitimacy and loathes multicultural spectacles where it might be pressured. Trump's public preening may even complicate matters further, turning what could have been serious diplomacy into a headline-chasing farce. So, what is Trump's play? Is this strategic statesmanship or self-serving grandiosity? Remember, this is a man preparing for the next part of his presidency. He's done 100 days and achieved nothing, and now he's on the next bit. Is he actually going to achieve everything he failed to achieve in the first part? An image of Trump striding into Istanbul with Zelensky and Putin at his flank would allow him to revive his tired mantra, only I can fix it. But there's also genuine danger in this, because when high-stakes peace efforts become theatre, lives are lost in the wings, expectations are raised, but deliverables are rarely met. But Zelensky's willingness to attend, whether or not Putin arrives, is a bold gamble. He's prepared to face down the aggressor in person. I think Putin and Zelensky have met twice before. The previous time it was a meeting before the war. And Zelensky looked very timid. And before that, I think, was when Zelensky appeared on stage in a comedy routine and Putin roared his head off at Zelensky's attempt to play the piano. If Zelensky is prepared to face down the aggressor, even if Russia declines to recognize him as Ukraine's lawful leader, I think there's every possibility that his demand for a 30-day unconditional ceasefire that reflects both political maturity and strategic calculation may take place. It shows Ukraine once again taking the moral high ground, and the inclusion of the United States, even in the shape of Trump, signals to Russia that the West is watching and possibly coordinating, however chaotically. If Trump's presence helps bring Putin to the table, even out of paranoia or pride, it may prove useful. But thirdly and crucially, we mustn't forget the mechanics of peace. Talks alone don't equal progress, and peace requires sequencing: a ceasefire, humanitarian access, prisoner swaps, the return of stolen children, some 20,000 of whom remain displaced in Russia. And Pope Leo has endorsed that very aim. His call for peace, for the release of the abducted children, has added moral gravitas to this story. A papal voice, a presidential wildcard, a wartime president, perhaps a bizarre but potent mix in Istanbul, the heart of Europe. So is this Istanbul summit realpolitik or reality show? If Putin comes, it will be under pressure from sanctions, from battlefield attrition, from the weight of global scrutiny, from the embarrassment, from the challenge of Zelensky. If Trump comes, it will be for the cameras. But if peace, however partial, results, then even the most perfunctory democracy and diplomacy may be worth the price of admission. In the end, the question is not whether Trump is sincere, it's whether his meddling might actually help generate momentum where formal diplomacy has stalled. And on that, we have to wait till Thursday, when Istanbul might host not only the ghosts of empires past, but the fragile hope of a war-weary future. Istanbul could take its place at the centre of the world, the centre of the globe again, a place, frankly, it hasn't occupied fully since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, since the collapse of the Roman Empire, since 1053. It's suddenly Istanbul is at the heart of our world. That's extraordinary.